Everybody needs to understand that I'm more than simply a hype man for this rap group, just like Geico is more than just a company that can save you money. Geico also has fast and friendly claim service, so they can help you when you need it most. And while I do love being a hype man, I also love reading for children's audiobooks. Like Little Bo Peep, she lost the sheep, and she don't know where to find them. Go!
Geico. Expect great savings and a whole lot more.
Welcome to the War Room. We got Dev, Kill, Jimmy, PJ, B. Austin, the Hot Block Commander. How you want it in a 1 or 2 hour show to keep the brain running with the premise to talk sports on a national level. Bold with the topic, sorta like the rebels when it's game time. They like the Fab Five during prime time. Sports conglomerates speak their minds a little bit. For sports medicine and sports veterans and greats. The 4 for 26 or the war in Kuwait. It's the War Room with 5 nights at the round table. 5 Philly guys, diversified and educated.
Yo, what's good, War Room family? You are once again live in the War Room, brought to you by War Room Sports on the War Room Sports Podcast Network. I'm one of your hosts, Jimmy the Blueprint, and I'm at the round table with my brother B. Austin. Dev is on the West Coast saving black babies from great white sharks. So, and also other great whites, but that's neither here nor there. The same folks who have been dominating the news cycle for most of the summer. And we're about to bring you the latest in domination. And that's your wife and your girlfriend's favorite show, favorite podcast. That is us. But of course, before we start, we have to give some shout outs right now. Make sure you join us in the JW Philly Realty chat room at blogtalkradio.com/The War Room, or join us on Facebook or Twitter, and that's at War Room Sports. You can also call us directly in about 5 minutes when we open up the Digital Extreme Technologies hotline. That number is 323-410-0012. We definitely want to hear from you today. So for those listening, make sure to tune in. But when we're not live on the air, check out the War Room Sports Podcast Network. Besides our own podcast, The War Room, you can also listen to a lot of amazing shows like The Broad Street Line with Roy and Chris, Tissue and the Tape with Phil and Survive, Joint Appetit with the Burtons, On the Couch with the Wilsons. I know they got the Ozark joint coming out. I'm looking forward to that because Ozark is fire. Also, Cover 2 with McMillan and Purdue, our newest program about personal finance, networking, and real estate, and that's By the Hood with myself and my partner, Corey Camp. So just visit warroomsports.com and click on the WRS Podcast Network tab, or you can go to our free mobile app, available, Android, iPhone. Just look for War Room Sports. And right inside the app, you can get all of our content. Or, as always, go to WRSPN.com, and that'll take you right to the podcast network. Brother B, what's good?
Oh, so this what y'all do?
You already know.
Yeah, man, just out here wondering how I can make $1 million a week, trying to figure it out.
Yo, my man, my brother B. Austin has been obsessed with this story in the world of football, or as we call in America, soccer, about this young man getting a nice bag. So I guess we'll talk about that a little bit later as well, because I know that B has been talking about this all day. So I know he definitely has some bars for that. But ain't nothing wrong with it. I know my man's family better be on the lookout because I've seen the movies. I know what goes on over there. No shots. It's facts.
City of Gods.
I've seen City of God. City of God was fire, by the way. So, yeah, man, I mean, it's a lot going on in the world of sports. Basketball is still in the headline. It seems like football is taking over this week for a lot of different reasons. So we might as well start with that. And the NFL Wrap is brought to you by Sports the Book. If you're tired of reading the same old sports books with tired old sports lists, rankings, imaginary starting lineups, well, be sure to pick up your copy of Sports, and that's Smart People Only Read the Sports. What an amazing acronym to use the word sports inside of sport. Anyway, this is the Illmatic of sports books, and it's a mixture of sports and hip-hop culture that will keep you mesmerized from beginning to end. However, it is only built for Cuban links, so some people won't get it, but for those who do get it, God bless you. Here's how you get the book. You go to sportsthebook.com, or you go to our website at warroomsports.com, and you can get the book, or you can hit me up in the streets because I am out here with the books. Do not miss the movement. Listen, man, Like I said, it's a lot going on in the world of sports. Basketball is pretty much dominated the headlines, unlike we've ever seen before. Like, pretty much on some, this is our time. And football has kind of like fell back. But this week, man, I got to say it. Football's fighting back, man. And some would say not for like positive reasons, man. Let's talk about your uncle, man. Your uncle, Rakus Lewis. After being asked his opinion by the Ravens, Ray Lewis, he quadrupled down on his advice to Colin Kaepernick. Most of us would consider it bad advice, but, nonetheless, let's leave the floor open in case anybody wants to take the other side. Man, what do you think about some of the stuff that Rakus has been in the news doing? Like, is it CTE? What is it?
Thing that I can really say about your uncle, Coon Lewis, Uncle Rakus, is the pain of Black American history and white supremacy and racism is not always evident because you can't see pain, but them scars is ugly as hell to look at, man. Them scars is evident, man.
Mm-hmm.
There's no, there oftentimes people don't realize that, white supremacy exists and is perpetuated oftentimes by the Black community. And this is a perfect example. Like, here's a young man in Colin Kaepernick who made the decision to make some sacrifices and take some risks to stand up for disenfranchised people, to stand up for human rights, to stand up for against human rights abuses by an authority.
So what you're saying, is you're saying that there's a lot of Black people who are themselves white supremacists.
Absolutely.
I got to quote you on that. That's a fire bar right there.
Yeah, you could quote that. You have a young man that's taking a risk, that's standing up. Now, with that risk comes what he's facing. Like, him not getting a job, he can't really be mad at that, and I don't think that he is mad at that. He understands and understood the risk that he was taking. And so when you have guys come out, especially guys that come from the Black community and come from the African American community and have witnessed and lived through, or family members have lived through some of the things that he's standing up against, it becomes all the more evident where their pathologies and psychosis is rooted from and rooted in.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's painfully clear to me to see that Ray Lewis, along with, a couple others, who Steve Harvey, Michael Vick, these guys are modern-day examples of the house Negro, which the great Al-Hajj Malik Al-Shabazz did a very famous speech on the house Negro versus the field Negro. The house Negro versus the field Negro, and it's painfully evident that Ray Lewis is indeed, truthfully, a house Negro. And he's got a house Negro's mentality because his concern is more about not making waves and not angering ownership. Well, the house Negro didn't want to anger his owner either. The house Negro was happy with his owner. The house Negro was concerned with making sure that ownership was comfortable at the expense of Black humanity. And even if you want to broaden it, humanity in general.
You know what's interesting about this, right? Salute Ron Glover, who's listening in from the Starting Five. I'd love to get your perspective, Ron. So if you want to, give us your perspective, hit one and raise your hand, and I'll bring you on. But just want to add a little bit to the conversation. It's interesting to me because, man, I have so many. This has invoked so many feelings for me because I thought that what Kaepernick did, and I still believe it to be sort of courageous because we knew the backlash he would face, right or wrong. Also, I feel like some of these guys.
Jimmy, not to cut you off, but I want you to continue your thought. But by definition of what America deems a patriot, what he is doing is the ultimate act of patriotism by their definition of it. But go ahead.
But here's the one thing that's interesting, right? Is that I feel like a lot of these guys don't have the same courage, so they kind of like want to put him in the box, like, you know, I couldn't do this, so you shouldn't do it either. Like, not that they would even want to, but they don't understand. And the fact of the matter is, he's not coming out saying anything at all, which is amazing to me. He's not really saying anything at all, which is even more powerful because you guys are keeping him relevant.
Because he understands.
You're also proving by having this conversation.
The sickness.
You're also proving by having this conversation constantly that he did the right thing. If he did take this quote-unquote silent protest, would they still be talking about it? Absolutely not. It's crazy, man. Like, you know, as I say in my book, like, sometimes you don't want to meet your heroes. And sometimes when you see these guys who we looked up to that play football, when they open their mouths, you get a whole different perspective. I've already been on the record, like, I'm not watching the league no more. Because my thing is, this has touched me in an amazing way because I love football. But at the same time, like, you know, right is right and wrong is wrong, and I'm fed up with it. But here's what's interesting, and I think Ron just raised his hand. I definitely want to bring him on. But the last thing I want to say is I was listening to Dr. Scott Speed because Dev was on his podcast, which is an amazing podcast, by the way, Race Haven podcast. He talks about racial issues. And he said something that was real interesting. He said that this Kaepernick thing made him realize something because he was also on some, I'm boycotting the NFL type thing, like NFL blackout this year. He said, but it made him realize that, you know how we always say things affect people different when it's something that's close to them? He was saying that the same way we always say, like, you know, the NFL didn't care about this person that hit their wife or this person that killed someone or someone that was on drugs. It's like, well, neither did we. We never thought the boycott the NFL. We was okay with them coming back essentially too. But now there's the issue that it's still kind of like made me feel like a little bit of a hypocrite because I'm like, yeah, he's right because I kind of felt that way. But at the same time, enough is enough. Enough is enough because this guy essentially did nothing at all wrong, and that part of the conversation I feel is lost a lot because people keep talking about it as if he committed a crime, and that's the part that's kind of mind-boggling to me.
Yeah, I'm gonna touch on what one of the things Dev always points to. Everyone is pointing to his act or acts, and no one has the conversation about why. Why is he doing what he is doing? Okay, he knelt. You guys are offended. Okay, he did this or he wore the socks. Okay, whatever. But why will you not have the conversation about young black and brown men being murdered by law enforcement, railroaded by the judicial system, and the legislator creating policies that are biased and institutionally racist?
Listen, man,
no one wants to have those conversations. We are stuck on pointing to him, and I feel as though there are certain parts, not all, but certain parts of white America that get so happy and excited when they hear the Ray Lewises or the Michael Vicks of the world because
that's the part that's sad because that kind of jumps in. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, listen though, a lot of people feel a type way about this. Our phone lines are blowing up. Let me get Ron on. This is Ron right here. We got calls from Cali. We got calls from Maryland. We're all over the place. But let's get Ron on real quick. Mr. Glover, is this you?
Yes, it is. What's going on, man?
How are you, sir?
I'm great. How are you?
Oh, man, it's a pleasure to hear from you, man. I know you got some thoughts on this.
Ron, what's happening? Talk your itch. Yes, sir.
What's up, B?
Yes, sir. Man,
I don't know where to begin. I mean, Ray Lewis, he's outdone O.J. Simpson, and he lacked himself when they brought him on for the second day.
That's saying a whole hell of a lot right there.
Yo, that's hard to beat. Because, you know my man O.J. said, I'm not black. I'm O.J.
Yeah.
That's hard to do.
This year has been so surreal. I wouldn't be surprised if O.J. came out, when he came out of prison, he just said, you know what, I'm joining the Nation of Islam. That's how bizarre this whole thing has got.
That would be amazing.
This man's going to come on home. Juice may as well come on home, man, because
Juice
it
in
ain't
the
nothing out
FOI,
there.
man.
Just come on home, Juice. But I mean, with the whole Kaepernick thing, it's just like you guys were saying. You hit on all the points, everything that I've spoken on. You know, we're still everyone's up in arms about his actions, but not the reasons for his action. Just pulling guys off the street, literally, and putting them places where they know these guys can't succeed. And just from the standpoint of just him, I think he knew and counted the cost going in, and I think he's perfectly fine with where he is.
He's prepared.
Yes.
He's prepared.
He sat down, and this was a well-calculated move. And
mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, and financially, he's prepared.
Mm-hmm.
I can tell.
Yeah. And
this is the thing. This is the thing that that trips me up is like, don't these guys recognize they're going to be on the wrong side of history? Because what's interesting to me is when you actually read the books and you read, see the way Ali is revered now, it wasn't that way in this time. And I'm not comparing Cap to Ali essentially. Mm-hmm. You know, Ali mentioned the sport. But just from an activist standpoint, when you read the stories about Curt Flood or Bill Russell or even Kareem, at the time, even their own people were treating them the same exact way. It's just that, you know, in revisionist history is a mug. But when you look at this, you just want to say, like, don't you realize you're going to be on the wrong side of history? Because right is right and wrong is wrong. Like Jimmy, Bill Russell says in his book, he says essentially, the bottom line is, he said, I always try to do what's right and never was wrong. So, you know, I really don't consider myself a hero. I just try to always do what's right and what's wrong. So the bottom line is right and wrong is wrong. So as this like plays out,
why
you're going to be on the wrong side of history. He said, these people, I just don't realize how they don't see how history will look upon this.
Yeah. Yo, Ron, real quick, Brother Jimmy was on the precipice of an amazing point, and I want to finish that point for him.
Go ahead, good brother. I threw the ooh.
You just said they treat Colin Kaepernick as if he is a lawbreaker, as if he is doing something wrong. It is important to understand, then, that standing up for something like this, for this particular cause, black disenfranchisement, black mistreatment, black murders at the hands of law enforcement, the judicial system, and legislature, I'm going to lump them all together, it is wrong in their eyes. He is breaking a law. It's not a written law, but he's breaking a law. That's the point.
Just like that.
He is breaking the law.
Unwritten rules. Just like that unwritten rules among ownership throughout sports, this is an unwritten rule in the law of the land. It's an unwritten rule. And it's ironic that you had two former convicted felons, whose voices were the loudest in this. I mean, Michael Vick says, you know, you need to cut your hair. But prior to his arrest, Vick had cornrows, cut his hair down, and still got bent over.
Yeah.
And then you have Ray Lewis, who can't tell us anything about that white suit that night. But we're still looking for this white suit. Can't find the white suit. And the thing
so
is,
basically,
like,
you got guys with stuff all in their closet that want to come out. And in our chat room, Scott View, Kevin Alcali, he says that those two guys got second chances. So that's why they're out there, you know, because Master gave them the authority to piss in the big house. So, you know, because they got a second chance, that's why they're out in the front lines.
Mm-hmm. And it's pretty much
funny
like,
because I do want to give Mike Vick the benefit of the doubt of saying that I don't think he thought it through, and I don't think his tension was to come off as a coon. However, what your intentions are, if you want to get technical, you know, we in the media are always told your intentions be damned, make your point very, very clear, defend it, and substantiate it. And that's, you know, he didn't really do that. I think when he had an opportunity to think it through. But I also agree with Jimmy in that, and you, Ron, in that I believe that Michael Vick is in essence a defeated man. I feel like him doing that time and having an opportunity to come back out, I do feel as though, not to say he sold out, but I feel like they let him know, listen, you don't get chances to do this without, you know, cutting your hair, changing your vocal patterns, holding your butt cheeks tight, and all of that. So, interesting point.
They've demasculated these guys. But it's interesting to me because it's like, I feel like the owners are really flexing their power now. When you hear Jerry Jones come out and say that everybody better stand up for the anthem or they're off the team. And I think, like, they're trying to prove a point by picking up some of these quarterbacks they're picking up. Like, they're really trying to prove a point.
Yeah.
Oh, man, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah,
and I just like you said, I think Ozzie Newsome is somewhere in some room fighting very, very hard. I don't know whether he's going to win that fight because he's still a part of the machine as opposed to operating the machine. Get him in the Ravens camp, but I don't know, man. I don't know.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. Go ahead, Ron. You got it.
If there's, and let's just say he gets in the Ravens camp, I can see down the line it coming at Ozzie's expense.
Yep.
I can see Ozzie Newsome. I can see it coming at Ozzie's expense over time, maybe in a year or two. They'll bring him in, but somebody in that organization is going to have to pay for that, and this is going to be Ozzie Newsome.
Wow.
And this is a guy who's proven himself and has been there forever. But you're absolutely right. Like, you're absolutely right. It's just amazing to me, man. Like, these people don't recognize, you know, how history will look upon them. And they can, you know, you're literally, like, specifically within Ray Lewis's case, he's ruining his legacy. I've seen people that were stone cold Ray Lewis guys. Like, I've been here for Ray Lewis. He irritated me his last season, the no weapon side and all that old nonsense. But, I mean, this is just another level. This is a whole nother level. Like, I started to question whether Ray Lewis was dealing with CTE, considering how CTE's been in the news. Like, maybe that's what's going on because he quadrupled down. It's not that he just said something, but he kept coming back for more, and he keeps opening his mouth. He's making videos in his car. He's, like, completely out of control. Like, what is he? He's really going to bat for this owner. And I guess, you know, the Ravens, let me ask you this, Ron. How do you feel about the way the Ravens handled it? Because essentially they put it up to their fans and that old nonsense. What do you think about the way the Ravens handled it?
Poorly. Very poorly. I mean, when Jeffrey Lurie brought in Michael Vick, he didn't consult anybody outside of the organization. We didn't even know. I can remember that night. It was during the Eagles preseason game. And it came across as a news flash. And leading up to that point, he didn't know anything. He didn't know where Vick was headed. There were no leads. There was nothing. And it just came across like, you know, the Eagles have signed Michael Vick. And, you know, Lurie went out on his own from what he said to do it. But this thing here is being handled terribly. And he's just giving himself an excuse to say in the end, well, you know, we have to do what's in the best interest of the fans. That's the poor way of handling it.
You know, as you said, Ron, we really have turned this thing inside out and touched every point and every foundation, and we will continue to do so. Another point, well stated, Jimmy, is I know for me, sports has been such an integral part of my life. Learned so much from it, enjoyed it. It has entertained me. It has taught me. It has done many things. And one of the chief lessons that I'm now learning as a mature adult man with children is that you cannot make someone a hero because they run fast, jump high, catch well, or throw well, or kick well for that matter. Mm-hmm. You can't. That does not make them a hero. And in all of this, Colin Kaepernick is proving to be or substantiate himself as a hero because he has taken his platform, the little one that he had, comparatively speaking, because he's not, you know, at the top of the mountain, but he's taken that platform and is willing to stand on it and sacrifice it for bigger causes. And that's, you know, that's amazing, you know, to me in this day and age. So
they're making him an icon.
Everybody that I have idolized at some point in some way, shape, fashion, or form is a noodle, a coward, or a coon.
It's funny, right? Because I tell you, I always say you never want to meet your heroes, but now, like, you know, with all the access to media and social media, you get to, like, you know, they let you in their lives and you recognize how is much more. Ron, but thanks for your call, man. Thanks for your perspective, man. How can our people out there see your work, because you do amazing work as well?
We appreciate it.
So how can our people see your stuff?
They can go to www.starting5.net. I've been working on a piece on Kaepernick for the last day and a half, just saying how the NFL doesn't deserve him. They really don't want him, and he's cool with that. So he's found what his life work is and what his calling in life is. Just move forward with that.
Absolutely.
And, like I said before, he can do much more.
Yeah, he can do much more without football at this point, because and the funny thing is, by them acting the way they're acting, they're proving his point and making him a bigger icon.
Yep. Yes.
Absolutely. All right, Ron, man. Well, thanks for your call. Thanks for your input, man. We appreciate the support, man. And take it easy, good brother.
All right, peace, brothers. All right.
Peace.
Peace.
We got Rob on the line calling in from Cali. Let's get Rob on real quick. I know he has some thoughts on this. Rob, what's going on, man? Rob, man, early this week, man. Rob, what's going on, man?
Yo, what's up? The Kev Mack for freaking holding up the call, man, last week. Thanks a lot. You know what I'm saying? Okay, see
AKA, he is here.
Yeah, I'm here. Yo, AKA, I'm here. And, yo, AKA, why is everybody surprised? Am I the only one not surprised? Colin Kaepernick, okay, because I want to touch on Ray Lewis for a second, but Colin Kaepernick, I'm kind of not surprised that he hasn't got a job, and the reason why is, if you look at, and I know, I know Jimmy said don't compare Colin Kaepernick to Ali. For me, I say why not? Because if you look at Sharif Muhammad before him, he did his protest, he was blackballed. Ali,
let's change something real quick. I want you to change this narrative real quick. We don't say black ball, we say white ball, but that's either here nor there. Go ahead.
Okay. What? The ball, white ball. Sharif Muhammad was white ball, and Ali, they took away his championship. I mean, we have to understand. In the era of white supremacy, it does manifest itself, and I think here we gotta learn from this. We also gotta learn how. But we have to learn from this. We have to learn the bravery and like we also said before, the sacrifice. We also have to learn about the social conditioning that brings up Ray Lewis and a Michael Vick. They condition these young athletes to become. If you read the autobiography of Malcolm X, they talk about the mascot.
Rob.
The mascot.
Tell him, Rob.
Like you ever had a white guy say, "You're not like other black people. You're different."
Yeah, I had someone tell me that I was a credit to my race, and they thought they would give me a compliment.
Yes, and that's how they treat these athletes. They condition these athletes to when they condition these athletes thinking that they're gonna go to the higher echelon.
I'm not black. I'm Ray Lewis.
It's true. It's true. You're right. It's true. It's true because dang, I'm sorry. I'm
Right, man. Dang, brother, you was on a roll. You getting it twirly?
You got a young lady on there?
No. It's true because when they condition them to become middle class, they think that okay, you gotta change your image. You can't hang around with your friends too much because you're different. You're special. You're special, and it's true. It's true with I think it's Jimmy talking about. No. I think it's what Jeff said that they're training him like he committed a crime because if you look at Cordell Stewart, all of them, what they're all saying is changing their image because he's committed like he's committed a crime. Like instead of actually talking about the issue because they don't identify with that realm anymore. They don't identify with they don't identify with the rest of the people because you gotta remember they're in a higher social class, But yeah, if you're higher, but I think it's bigger in a higher social class because you can be middle class black and still be with the brothers, You know,
Absolutely.
to me, I think you can say they inherited white supremacy, or inherited their ideas. You know, it's almost like it's almost like how you say it.
Well, I mean, a lot of this is a result of
like the body
man.
snatchers, like Invasion of the Body Snatchers. It's almost like that. Like they just changed them completely to where you have a Ray Lewis, you have different people. I mean, who instead of like, yo, brother, let's talk about, like, you say you have Shannon Sharp, let's talk about this. You have Ray Lewis, who is just out, like he's oblivious to black empowerment.
Well, I mean, it's a lot of things you said there, Rob. I mean, man, it's because this is a complex issue. A lot of this goes from our conditioning, from our history, and a lot of us in our community have real self-esteem issues. And the one thing that you know, I was talking to Michael about this. I said, a lot of times you watch TV or you see people and you think, man, they got it all together. None of us really got it all together. All of us got something going on in our life, and a lot of us have major self-esteem issues. And why is that important in this conversation? It's because of that. When they get to a certain point, they don't know how to have empathy. They don't know how to want to help their fellow man. Because even on a smaller scale, a lot of us do this. You know, we like to throw things in each other's face. So we don't
empathy and compassion.
Absolutely, we try to separate ourselves from the majority. We move independently and we try to separate ourselves from the majority. So you start to feel like, I'm not like them. I'm not like them. Like, you don't think of them as your brother. Like, you really don't think of them as your brother. I remember when I went to the Million Man March years ago, the first one, the original Million Man March, and I was a little kid. But the one thing that always stuck with me is when the minister said, listen, the one thing I want you to do when you leave from here, and, you know, there's all kinds of agendas that people had. He said, is to treat your brother like your brother. So when you see your brother, I want you to really feel like that's your brother. And at the time I was young, so I didn't get what he meant by that. But as time goes on, I understand what he meant by that. And the fact is, we don't treat each other like brothers. We don't. We just don't do it. We're always like, it's funny because you can walk through our communities and see that. Like, the brotherhood is kind of not there anymore. You know what I mean? So, and that's a bigger issue, but that's also part of it. Because a lot of these things, you know, even if Ray felt this way that he feels, which I completely disagree with, but he didn't have to get on a major platform and say that. I'm pretty sure he could have reached out to Kaepernick and gave him his perspective. But you're doing so much damage when you get on these major platforms and you say things like that because you're justifying everything that he's fighting against.
I mean, I agree with you, but I agree with you. We have to look at what Ray Lewis came from. His image was completely altered. You're talking about the guy he couldn't say the line on going to Disneyland because of what happened that incident because he wore that white suit. He couldn't. He had to change not also his image around. He had to change his thought process around. And you know, he had people in there like, yo, you gotta stop hanging around with Ray and what's his name? Yeah, but Ray's cool, but no, I don't care. You know, whatever you have to do. You know, so he had to make like a 560 around. You know, and the same thing with Vic, and the same thing with Vic. Okay, Vic, you have always been uneducated and overrated, and the only reason why people didn't tackle you is because you caught herpes and they didn't want to catch nothing, man. Okay, keep your mouth closed. All right.
All right, Robert.
You're a black Neanderthal. But anyways, man, I'm sorry. I can't.
Yeah, man.
I
understand, man. Well, listen, man, we're gonna move on. We got like a bunch of people that's trying to get their bars off. But I want to say thank you for calling in. Thanks for the support as always.
We appreciate you, Rob. Great point.
Okay, I got one question for B. I got one question for B. Austin. B. Austin, what do you think of I want to talk about basketball, but I ain't got time for that. We ain't got time for that. Well, what do you think about Rasul Douglas and Jalen Mills, and do you think Nelson Aguilar can get better because he's making a lot of noise? Do you think he's gonna step up? Those three players.
I think that our cornerback situation is painful at best. I think that Jalen Mills, based off of his confidence alone, is going to be a solid NFL player and improve. I think he's super hungry. I think the talent ceiling is the talent ceiling. I don't think he'll ever be anything, super stupendous, but he was an undrafted free agent. So for him to become a suitable starter, that's a huge come-up, and that's what I see for him. Everybody else on that roster at cornerback, the best guy is an injured guy that we just drafted who won't play until next year. So we are in desperate need of help at the cornerback position. Nelson Aguilar needs to be thrown into a pit of the unfortunate. I don't care what he's doing in practice. He is dead. He is dead to me.
Damn.
Shout out to all my Africans.
Hey, by the way, Rob, I just got a message for you in our group. Casey Mack said, "Stop crying, man."
Stop! You was crying for Kyrie Irving's contract, man. Yo, tell him this ain't the 1970s anymore, man. This is free agency. Ain't nobody loyal. These hoes ain't loyal.
Basically, Rob. Basically, Casey Mack said, "I believes in what Uncle Ray is saying. When boss says play, boss means play."
Listen, Rob, man, we got to move on. We got other calls, man, but thanks for the call, homie.
Yo, Uncle Ray don't snitch, but that's it. Peace.
All right, peace. Yo, we got Tobias calling in. Let's get Tobias on the line. I know he's ducking Master right now. What's up, Tobias?
Hey, what's going on, man?
Hey there, boss. Hey, boss.
I know you at the plantation trying to get these bars off, man. But let us free. What's up?
First things first. I did not know NBA Live still making games because they're talking about putting the WNBA in there. Way to get people to buy that game. Sometimes
he come in with his sexist calls, man.
Hey, they ain't gonna have a dunk rating; they have a layup rating. Here's the thing. Y'all talking about Ray Lewis, right? I missed part of it earlier. I know y'all talking about that.
We're talking about Uncle Rakus is what we call him.
Okay. Preacher man. Okay, here's the thing. Black people, it's a shame that you have black people, black men with this kind of money who are still cowardly. But the thing that TO'd me the most about him when he said, "I'm going to these hoods. I show these kids. I give them hope. Hope ain't paying no light bills. Hope ain't getting these kids out from where they from. These kids need economic opportunity and jobs. You could talk about black people killing black people all you want. Quick things on that. Poor black people are concentrated in a handful of places in this country. Poor white folks all over the place. Someone showed me the black housing project in Butte, Montana, or Bismarck, North Dakota. All right, but here's the thing. These crimes are poverty crimes. These kids don't have opportunities. If these kids and these black males had jobs, this stuff wouldn't be going on. But they don't want to address that. They just want to put these people, they put the black people in this position, and then they want to blame them for it. Hope ain't changing that. And I'll say this real quick. The thing is, Colin Kaepernick did nothing wrong. What do we expect for white people to say if we got the black folks with the voices and the money who are too scared to back them? Talk to them. And I say this. Everybody say, well, Kaepernick's rich. Not say Kaepernick, but I'm just saying, like, let's just say, black athlete A, whatever, like LeBron James or somebody. But most of LeBron James, like most black people, families are either working class or poor below that poverty line. They still going through that struggle of being a poor black person. And better yet, Dr. Dre is $100 millionaire and still had police still had him hemmed up outside his house. And they knew who he was. None of this is going to shield you from being black at the end of the day. But the thing is, guys, no matter what, we have family members that gone through. We've been gone through some of this stuff. Just because you're rich, your family's still having to go through these struggles as well. It doesn't see white folks want to separate us like that, but racism is a team sport. So go figure on that one.
Yeah. I mean, you're absolutely right. These are systems, and like you said, it's a team sport, man. But I'm just disappointed.
Racism is a team sport.
Yeah, we got some bars today. Racism is a team sport. My man B. Austin said there's a lot of black white supremacists out here. Y'all dudes is bringing the quotables today, man. But it's just sad to see, man, because Like, he's getting on national platforms and saying these things. And the funny thing is, he's speaking with passion as if he really believes this nonsense he's saying. He said, he said, you have to be quiet. Like, and someone just mentioned, I don't know.
No, Jimmy, he does believe it. He believes it. He believes it.
Yeah, it's funny, right? He's talking about, he's too loud with his protest. And somebody wrote on my page, Marie said he knelt and didn't say a word until asked. So explain how loud he actually is being with this protest. Like,
hey, Jimmy, here's the thing. White folks say they wanted the protest of silence and peaceful, right? Well, Kaepernick did that. He explained to you eloquently what he did. He answered every question for 30 minutes, I remember correctly. So he don't need to keep talking. He's not going to satisfy them and beg for a job. But that's what team I'm looking at. Richard Sherman called him out the Jets. Todd Bowles, who's a black coach, his job's on the line. You mean tell me Kaepernick can't help him win some more games? I know it's not his decision, but think about this. His job is on the line. I don't
even think he has any sort of has any personnel like control.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. So I ain't gonna blame him. I look at the situation. He's gonna get fired this year, and that team would rather lose by giving him Josh McCown and Christian Hackenberg, some guy named whatever this other guy name is. And so these owners are willing to lose.
This goes to another point that was mentioned in the book of $40 Million Slaves by the god William Roden. And he talks about how, like, they'll continue to increase salaries, but the one thing they won't give is control. Because, when you start to give control, then you have personnel decisions. Then you determine how many people or what people feed their family.
I'm glad you brought that book up, Jimmy, because there was a time, at that book's release and up until recently, where I thought that the book was well written and there were some, the eloquently stated points, but overall the premise I disagreed with because I said, it's unfair to compare what, our people went through in chattel slavery to what athletes go through.
Yeah.
But I think that my position is changing based on this. They're paying a multi-million-dollar salary to a slave that helps in a system that keeps the rest of us in check. So in that regard, they are slaves to that system.
And he mentions it in a book that it's an extreme comparison, but it's also to prove a point. But he goes, if anybody out there, it's called $40 Million Slaves by William Roden. And he breaks down historically how they have went out of their way to not give minorities, people of color, Latinos, any sort of power. Even the Dominicans that dominate Major League Baseball. So they'll let you be a player. I mean, they just started letting people coach. And there's only a couple of GMs in the game. But, it's like, someone say, well, you're making progress.
Salute to the Big Three League. Salute to O'Shea. Yeah. Salute to O'Shea Jackson for taking it on himself.
Yeah, and that's a major thing. So, because here's the thing. When you think about someone who's had a 500-year lead and they still feel threatened, what does that tell you about the power that we actually have if we start to really believe we have that power? Because they feel threatened the problem is, with a 400 or 500-year lead. They still feel threatened. But go ahead, though.
The problem is, here's the problem. And I could go back to Fred Hampton. Black folks, we the ones that self-sabotage each other. We the ones that be quick to snitch and informant. Think about this. All this mess, like the biggest, like Donald Trump is a sideshow, right? He's an S show. Mm-hmm. How many white folks aligned with the snitch on this man or try to, who close to him? It ain't happening. We have to deal with the Ray Lewises of the earth. We need to start giving them our dollars and our support. And that's the one thing that will change because we already know white people going to do what white people do. But we need to deal with these backstabbing black folks who ain't worried about us. They worried about they got their house. And don't forget, people, Ray Lewis' son had like sex assault charge a year or two ago now. I don't know how that went.
Yeah, so, I mean, even beyond that, I was surprised that no one brought up the fact when Mike Vick was running his mouth. Like, who are you to give advice when you got a little brother you couldn't give advice to?
Well, better yet, how about this? How about this? He the one that forgave Riley Cooper. Deshaun Jackson, some of the other guys didn't forgive Riley Cooper.
He jumped right out there like, oh, no, Riley Cooper's a good guy. He jumped right in the front lines. That's because he was thinking about himself in that, and he was thinking about himself in some of the stuff he said now. I don't think, like B. Austin said, he recognized the backlash he was going to get. But, yeah, he's pretty much lost all his support because Dev brought up, I think, last show that he had some people who supported him, and some would say irrationally. But the fact is, now they've turned their back on you. Those other people, they still don't mess with you. They're trying to block him from getting the Virginia, like, what is it, the Virginia State Hall of Fame or something? They're trying to block it.
Yeah, and I got to run, but I'll say two quick things I got to run. Thing is, first, I don't, like, if you're going to be a black male, especially football, because you don't get guaranteed contracts, wait till you get that big money contract first. Then you can step out a little bit, get your money right first. But also, the thing is as well, you notice how white society applauded LeBron and company for that little thing they did at ESPYs a couple of years ago to Seattle Seahawks because it did not challenge them. It did not call them out. Colin Kaepernick called them out, and he said what it was about. He challenged white supremacy. And they keep saying, well, you do this. The man did a lot of good things with his time and money and that he could show. And he has something to lose because people, they trying to say, well, he had nothing to lose. He looking for a job. He doing this now.
Tobias, let me tell you something real quick. Let me tell you something real quick, right? Here's what people don't recognize. First of all, salute to him because after all of that, he went and he walked the walk. It's one thing to say that and take the stance, but since then, he's done nothing but great things. All right, another point is, watch how interesting it's going to be as time plays on. We're going to be having this conversation 40 years from now when we're older guys, and we're going to look at how they revered Colin Kaepernick. He's going to be celebrated by those people. In fact, they're going to start pointing out that he was half white at that point. They're going to claim him.
You know what, Jimmy? And I'll say this, and I got to run. But the one thing I liked the most was when he stood out in New York and gave those brothers suits so they could get interviews because it is hard. I got cousins that spent 20 years in prison for petty theft in high school, and they had one white lady who stole from 10 plus years later, when you go for parole, are you still afraid of him? She just say yeah, and they lock him up some more. That's the stuff that we go through as a people that he's fighting for. And it's a damn shame that not even the Players Association president, DeMar Smith, has been quiet on this. Where has he been at? But hey, I got to run, guys. I'll holler at you guys next week, though, man.
Yeah, thanks for the support, man.
Man, we appreciate you, Tobias. We appreciate you.
I'll take it easy.
All right, peace. Yeah, B. So, I mean, that's been, like, dominating the news cycle. There's a couple other points that I wanted to bring up in reference to this to get your take on it. We already spoke about Jerry Jones telling the Cowboys that if they don't stand, they out of here, which is, like, you know, it's crazy. They're really flexing their power. Some other controversy in football, too. Like, Odell Beckham came out and said he should be the highest paid player. Do you agree with him? And if not Odell Beckham, who should be the highest paid player in football?
I don't agree with him, but I don't have a problem with him saying. So what Odell Beckham is looking at is obviously, you know, from an ego standpoint. He's a diva. He's the definition of a diva receiver. He feels that he's the best wide receiver in the game, which he should feel that way. And with that, he feels as though he should be paid not only more, but much more than Antonio Brown, Julio Jones, you know, guys of that ilk. And he's looking at Calvin Johnson's contract, which was an outlier at the time and still remains an outlier. You know, he's looking at that Calvin Johnson contract and saying that's his benchmark. That's where he wants to go. In the business of sport, and, you know, even in light of all that we're talking about, I have no issue with a player asking for more money than they're worth. I also, understanding that it's business, purely business, have no problem with an organization saying, no, we're not going to do that. You know, and understand when these organizations make these calls, it's rarely just about that individual player and almost always about setting the market with others, because every other player is looking at what happens to Odell Beckham, because their agents and their attorneys are going to use that as a bargaining chip and a leverage point in negotiation. So, you know, no, there's you know, Odell Beckham has some reasons why he should be arguing for an extension. And then there's some counters to that. You know, he hasn't done that. He hasn't shown much in playoffs. Now, he's only 3 years into his career. I believe that he'll play at least another 10 seasons, you know, provided that he remains healthy. He could turn into everything that he says or already thinks that he is and justify that extension at the end of his rookie deal. Right now, I think he has 2 more seasons left on his rookie deal. But he hasn't performed in big games. Big games and playoff situations are where you earn that money and put organizations in a position where if you don't pay me, I will leave and do this for someone else who is willing to pay me to get you know, into their organization. So I think I have no problem with him putting it out there. I have no problem with him shooting for the stars, you know, or shooting for the moon, rather. I do not think that he's worth it, and I wouldn't pay it if I were a GM.
Okay, so the second part to that question, you being a talent evaluator, right? If you had to pick who was the highest paid player in the entire league, who would that be, and for what reason?
Player or the highest paid wide receiver?
Player. You can give me both, actually.
Aaron Rodgers.
Aaron Rodgers is the player.
Yeah, great,
receiver. The wide receiver.
Julio Jones. Aaron Rodgers should be making $100 million a week, and Julio Jones should have that or close to that. He should have that top money deal at the position. I believe he does, but he's solidified and firm in his point or his salary. And after him, I'd say it's Antonio Brown.
Yeah.
Those are my top 2 at the position.
Yeah, no doubt. All right, so that's interesting to hear you say. So let me ask you another question. Here, back to these owners like flexing their muscle. So the Chargers told Phillip Rivers and Antonio Gates that they aren't allowed to attend LaDainian Tomlinson's Hall of Fame induction ceremony. And Gates said that he may go anyway. How do you feel about this? Like, they want to go celebrate.
The reason that I have a problem with this is the root. There's a root problem here. The root of the problem being it's a personal thing. The Chargers have a personal beef with LaDainian Tomlinson because they wouldn't pay him and he chose to move on and continue to have a great Hall of Fame career after he moved on. They have an issue with that, so they have a personal beef. That's not business. That's not business. And so my issue with this is that you're not talking about LaDainian, you know, had legal issues or character issues outside of the sport. Hell, he didn't even have any character issues. He was beloved by his teammates, beloved by fans, an upstanding model citizen. I think the worst thing that you can ever say that he did was something that we on the War Room love passionately, which is, if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. So that's the worst thing that he ever did in his entire career. So the beef and the reason and motivation for the Chargers organization saying, Phillip Rivers, Antonio Gates, you cannot go and partake in the celebration of your former teammate and friend getting inducted into the Hall of Fame, there is no logical business reason for it. It's merely somebody being, you know, emotional and being an a-hole about it. So that's why I have a problem with it. That being said, unfortunately, the power that the players have is it's nominal. And so because you mentioned DeMaurice, because their players union isn't that strong, the organization can feel comfortable doing things like this. Now, I want him to go ahead and go. I want both of them to go ahead and go and just put the money together and pay the fine. The problem is for Gates, more so than Phillip Rivers, Phillip would just end up paying the fine and he'd be cool. Gates is at a point in his career where if he plays with fire, they'll just cut him because he's at the end of his run anyway. So I wouldn't want to see him get cut. I want, I'm thinking of his job security. But if they go, that's taking a stand for their homie, and I respect it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it's interesting, right? Because they are indeed like flexing their muscle now. I know that Gates is going. So he already said that he was going. I think they actually like backed off a little bit in terms of like them saying he can't go. But my thing is,
because they know how bad they look.
Because my thing is that a slippery slope? Like now you're dictating where I can go. Like where does that stop?
No, it's not a slippery slope because it is the first day of actual training camp, and so you have an obligation to be at your job. You have an obligation to be at your job.
I get it, but it's still just training camp. But I get your point, though. I get your point. What is training camp? Anyway, but salute to him, man. Salute to LT for.
Well, we can't say, but it's practice or but it's training camp because now the originator of that isn't even showing up to games.
Yo, Bubba Chuck gonna be Bubba Chuck, man. Like my man said, never change. I never change. It's his A every day. He is not changing, and it doesn't matter, man. Bubba Chuck missing games because he in the casino. He looked like he was up. He had tons of chips on the table, so
he was up. He was up.
Yeah, he was up. He was all the way up. So he's like, I ain't going nowhere, But man, listen, man. Anyway, but another thing about the NFL right now is all the CTE reports and players coming out saying, "Look, I'm going to play anyway. Even if with everything I know, I'll die on the field." Some players have literally said. But there was a video that surfaced of a former Buccaneers player who was like losing it and was trying to. He actually did. He ran through a glass door. And he's a CTE guy. Like, my question is this. Do you think, I have an opinion that as long as it's legal and people are hurting for money, that the league will always be here. But do you think maybe 20, 30 years from now, we're going to be sitting back like, hey, remember that NFL league? Because the more and more information they can't deny it, and like some of this stuff is scary.
Yo, man, salute to Neymar da Silva Jr. and that $1.1 million a week. I don't even know how I'm going to tie this segue in, but it's scary, man. It's scary. And if you're asking me, is the NFL going to go away? Eventually, yes. Eventually, yes. And here's why. It's not because we care about the players. It's not because we care about humanity or anything like that. It's going to come a point in time where it's going to be cost prohibitive to ensure any level of contract, and the quality of play is going to drop to a point where we're not as interested in what we're watching because the quality athletes are no longer participating in the game. Right now, the reason that we love the NFL and we love the NBA is because the very best athletes in the United States of America, they play football first, they play basketball second, they play baseball third, they run track fourth before you ever even get to soccer. But if the NFL declines in the level of talent and the money starts to subside even more, you're going to see other sports competing for. You're going to see sports competing for talent. So I give you an example of what 30 years from now. 30 years from now, I believe that Odell Beckham has taken Odell Beckham out of LSU. Odell Beckham might be a soccer player. Look in his history, and you'll understand. People that know his history know why I chose that sport particularly. But
I knew you were going to say that.
That's so.
But it's funny though, because to your point, I remember watching a documentary, and it was about the Sweet Science, and it was saying that that's essentially what happened to boxing, the heavyweight division. Like guys were like, I can go play a team sport and get guaranteed money, and don't have to worry about some of the things I deal with here in the in the ring. So a lot of people say that's kind of what happened to boxing. So
think about it now. Think about it because all of us would be heavyweights. At least, well, hey, you and I would be heavyweights.
Yeah.
Are you going to allow Mike Tyson? To hit you?
No, I go like play
I'm not.
tight end or offensive tackle, and
Yo, I don't care how much money you're offering me. I'm never going to allow Mike Tyson to hit me. I'm not. I can't take a Mike Tyson punch. If I take a Mike Tyson punch for $1 billion, I may not be able to enjoy the $1 billion.
Yeah. So you see a time when that's actually possible, but it's going to take for soccer or something else to take its place because the way things are currently constructed, there's only so many jobs. So it's going to take for another sport to like pop up and and kind of be that. So that's what it's going to take.
And the craziness about an NFL opportunity is because as the sports go, obviously it's not easy to play NFL football by any stretch of the imagination. It's not easy at all. But you do have 32 teams with 55 roster spaces plus an additional 10. So 65 times 32, that's the number of jobs that's available in the NFL. If you want to compare and contrast that to basketball or compare and contrast that to baseball, the NFL gives a lot of job opportunities.
Yeah,
a lot of openings.
How many? And I don't know anything. I don't know anything about football. How many players are on a team?
22 max.
Okay, so
that includes your reserve. That includes your reserve squad. So your starting 11, you have your starting 11, and you're only allowed 3 subs in a game for the entire game. You can't come in and out. So you have 3 subs, and you might have another 3 guys sitting on a bench. So on game day, you've got a starting 11 plus 5 or 6 reserves, and then you have a reserve team of 11 players that are in the organization but don't play for the first team. And that's it. That's the entire organization. An NFL team employs 65
it's like its own economy.
70. Yeah, 70. There's 70 players at any given time around an NFL team. You know what I'm thinking? It's more than that because if you count the PUP list, if you count injured reserve, the PUP list, the practice squad, and 3 or 4 strings, you can have even in a regular season. You can have 75
coaches. Think about the various coaches.
Yeah. Then you get to every position coach has an assistant.
So
every
you're talking about a league which essentially has its own economy. So it's going to be a lot for that to go away.
Well,
like it just is. You know what I mean? Like A thought real quick from Skyview Kevin. He said in his opinion, boxing fell off when the Russians became heavyweight champions. And he said he also thought that CTE was a little suspect until his little brother, who played football at Bucknell, is potentially being diagnosed with it. So this is him personally. Sorry to hear that, Skyview, but it's real.
Damn,
you know how people,
bad,
how things change when it hits home, right? So that's what he's dealing with there. So it is a real thing, man. Before we move on from football, man, I just want to say, salute to everybody sending us messages about the Ray Lewis conversation. We pretty much have put our thoughts on the table with that. None of us agree with what he's doing. We're all I don't want to say embarrassed.
We forgot, man. Salute again to Dev because he said the CTE stand for Coon Train Enrollment.
Yeah,
so Ray definitely has it.
So before we move on and talk about some other sports, man, is one last thing that we have to say in reference to Ray Lewis, Cordell Stewart. What do you think about Cordell Stewart? Before we move on, I asked you about Cordell Stewart because he came out today, kind of echoing Ray Lewis. What do you think about Cordell having the audacity to say stuff?
I think that Cordell. See, I'm biased, so I really can't give an objective opinion about Cordell because I think that he's a completely suspect human being based on the fact that he's no longer married to Portia. So if you can walk away from that, I can't value anything that comes out of your mouth because you haven't proven to replace that with anything of any value or substance. So you walked away from her to do what? Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, you a maggot.
Okay. But yeah, man, like tough, man. I think that I'm just gonna throw him into the pile with Ray and with Mike Vick, and we've got to send our parting shots to those gentlemen before we move on.
What about black on black crime? Where's the white women at? All white people ain't bad.
All right, so salute to those gentlemen. We gonna leave them where they stand, man. Before we move on, though, I have to tell everybody, please check out our website at warroomsports.com. While you're there, take your time and look around. Click on the Contact Us tab to send us a message about our company, our show, or to inquire about sponsorship and advertising opportunities, or if you want to join our network, if you have your own podcast. And we have several amazing shows and different types of shows, food shows, sports shows, so it could be anything about joining our network. If you have general inquiries, you can email us. That's info@warroomsports.com. While you're browsing the site, click on the memorabilia tab to buy War Room Sports merchandise. You can click the blog tab, which is right on the website, and read our latest articles in the All's Fair and Sports and War blog. Click the respective icons and tabs to follow us on all social media platforms. You can subscribe to our iTunes podcast. You can watch our webcast on War Room Sports TV. Listen to the WRS Podcast Network. You can download our free mobile app on Android or iOS. You can get everything that I just mentioned on the go on those apps. And it's amazing to be able to do that. You can go right in your iPhone, right in your Samsung Android phone, and get everything War Room Sports right there, so make sure you get that app. You can join us in the JW Philly Realty chat room right now. That's by going to blogtalkradio.com/The War Room. To enter the chat room, sign up for a free profile, which is at Blog Talk Radio. If you don't want to create an account, here's what you do. Sign in through your Facebook or Twitter account, and while you're at it, click follow to get updates and reminders about our show. We'll be taking questions and reading posts from Facebook, Twitter, and the chat room as this show continues, and also from the War Room Sports Game Time group on the Group Me app during the show, and you can get access to that also from the actual mobile app. But we have a group that we discuss everything pretty much during the course of the week, so make sure you check us out there. To call in and speak with us, dial the Digital Extreme Technologies hotline, and that number is 323-410-0012. Press 1 when prompted. If you're already listening from your phone, just press 1 if you want to talk to us. You dig? So, salute to Skyview who's in the chat room holding it down, man. Your thoughts about boxing may be true, Skyview, because, none of us really bang with the Klitschko's because we all saw Rocky IV and, Apollo Creed, rest in peace. So we still didn't forgive them for that. Although Adonis got a little bit of revenge for it, shout out to Adonis for getting revenge for us. So, it is what it is. But, man, listen, it's a couple other things that we have to talk about while we still have some time beyond. So we got about another 50 or so minutes left on the show. So it's time to talk about some things that happened, while everybody was on the grind this week. Because although Ray Lewis and Colin Kaepernick and those people have dominated the headlines, there's still a couple other sports stories that we have to touch on, good brother. So while you were on the grind, is brought to you by DirecTV. If you like a better TV experience than cable has to offer, which includes the NFL Sunday Ticket, if you're someone looking forward to watching this upcoming NFL season, I'm not. You can go to directtv.com for a better TV experience. If you call yourself a sports fan, you have to have DirecTV. Now, it's time to talk about those things that happen while the good people were right. Listen, man, an NCAA player, he was made ineligible over black haircuts. He was being investigated for driving a car, what have you. But to make a long story short, it came out when he was being investigated that they didn't believe that black people got haircuts that often because he was giving haircuts, what have you, and they didn't believe that anyone got a haircut bi-weekly. I don't know where these investigators come from. I know cats that get a cut every 3-4 days where I come from.
Sidney Moncrief, wide receiver or former wide receiver for the Indianapolis Colts. I'm not sure who he signed with now. He may still be there with the Colts. this is I don't even know what to say about this. You put him under NCAA investigation because you don't believe black people get haircuts as frequently as he got haircuts. Well, we're past racism, man. Don't make it don't make it racial. Don't make it about him being black.
Yo,
that's all I got. I mean, all I got is sarcastic responses. I can't even fathom someone fixing their lips and vocal cords to spew forth that level of bullcocking. You weren't like whoever said that could have thought it. It's okay because you know what? We all have our own prejudices. We all have prejudices. We all have things that we have that are a little ignorant that we may. No one knows how stupid or ignorant you are until you open your mouth and let it be known. The person that said this didn't feel. He didn't feel funny saying this. He didn't say, you know what, I think this, but maybe I shouldn't say this. I think things about, I've had prejudiced thoughts or generalist thoughts about,
you want to share one of them with us?
All types of stuff. But, nah, not at all. But I'm not going to affix my mouth, embarrass myself, and say it. And furthermore, I'm going to come in contact with those folks and have a conversation and try and learn and broaden my horizons rather than live in that moment and allow that prejudice to inform my decision, which is what essentially changes it from prejudice to racism, because you now have cost this person academically, educationally, and financially.
Well, let's keep it right there. Let's keep it right here for a second. I want to bring this story to you because the UCF kicker, he walked away from football because he was making paper on YouTube. My man had a YouTube channel. He was raking in the dough. His CPMs was up. Big blog and stuff. He was showing like his life or whatever, and he was getting that cash. And another NCAA coming in, hating on somebody doing their thing. But he was like, I'm cool with football. I'm off that. I'm on his YouTube bread. What do you think about that?
Salute to him. 9 chances out of 10, he was not going to be able to continue his football career beyond UCF, and that's okay because he found another way to apply himself and get a nice bag. And so, salute to him because you weren't going to be kicking for any NFL teams, and the practice squad grind. I know probably 9 to 12 brothers that have gone the practice squad route. And believe it or not, it's not glorious. Mm-hmm. It's not glorious. So I wouldn't want to be a kicker on the NFL practice squad because you might only be making $90,000 a year to run down and bust wedge and get hit by 270-pound men that are angry.
$90,000 ain't bad for a game of amusement, but I'm just saying, salute to him for getting that YouTube bag, though. Because,
it's bad when you're getting CPE.
This is absolutely true, and he got his CPM up, so salute to him for that. But let's talk about ex-Giants quarterback, Jared Lorenzen, who is now 500 pounds. But he says what he's going to do is document his weight loss journey. So my man, out the league, ballooned up in terms of his weight, and he's trying to find a way to get it back from this. Do you remember Jared Lorenzen? Because he was always a heavy-set quarterback to begin with.
I'm angry because this is you and I. Our thing is that we root for all fat athletes. Absolutely. Jared Lorenzen was busting ass as a 300-pound quarterback. Well, maybe not busting ass, but he was good. He was good in college. I knew it wasn't going to last in the NFL. I knew it wasn't going to last. I knew that what he did wasn't going to translate to him having an extended NFL career, but it was good while it lasted. This is yet again another money grab because we live in a time and a day and an age where you can interest other human beings in watching you lose weight. So, salute to him.
Some man said, look,
capitalizing on
I got to
the
lose
idiot.
weight, and guess what? I'm going to get a bag while I do it. You can't, man, salute to him.
And y'all
for that,
going to
man.
watch me.
They're going to watch me lose
money
weight.
is no longer the root of all money is
Attention
no longer
is.
the root of all evil. Salute the Fab, man. Salute to the
man.
God Fabulous.
So, man, we talk about all these things, man. We talk about, Colin Kaepernick and what all these players have done, off the field, off the court, and all these things. But your man Pete Rose is back in the news for something that he did back in the 70s that just came to light. He's already banned from baseball. Now the Phillies have banned him from everything related to the Phillies because he was accused of having a sexual relationship with a 16-year-old girl back in the day. And he actually admitted it. You know what I'm saying? So, what do you think the backlash is going to be? I mean, we saw what backlash that happened to Robert Kelly, who had to cancel his tour. He was on a tour. He lost all that tour money.
My mind's telling me no.
And we saw what happened to the Cavs when the allegations came.
My baseball bat is telling me yeah.
And I would venture to say that Pete Rose can't drop no chocolate factory, so I don't know what he's going to do to get out of this, but he's tarnished his image once again.
Yo. Pete Rose, the only analogy that I can make of Pete Rose in terms of where he is in life and the gifts that God gave him, he's like a star of a blue movie whose talent is so long that they step on it, and he just won't hold it over his shoulder. He just continues to step on his own talent. Some of y'all will get that analogy. He just continues to step on his own talent.
Stepping on his own talent.
There are those, because the stars of a blue movie, they have a particular set of skills and a particular, and
I'm with you.
It is impressive. And he's stepping on his own talent instead of swinging it over his shoulder and carrying it. Like, you continue. There are those that objectively say that Pete Rose, from a career and a talent standpoint, is top 10 in baseball ever, all time. Like, he's one of the top 10 greatest baseball players to ever live. I don't know. I have looked at his numbers, and he definitely deserves consideration in that top 10 conversation. For him to not be in the Hall and not be a part of baseball is a travesty to me. Like, I don't even understand. But now this allegation, yo.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't.
Listen, man.
Yet again.
For me, the whole aspect that came with this is let's see if he's treated any different. We'll see. We shall see, man. But at any rate, man, that's the stuff that happened while you on the grind. It's not always good. I had to bring up one more thing real quick before we As a matter of fact, you know what? I'm gonna hold off on that. I'm gonna bring that up in a minute. I know you got a lot of bars for that. Because what I want to do right now is I definitely want to give some birthday shout outs. Because there's some birthdays that we definitely have to get to. So let's move on from that and talk about these birthdays, which are brought to you by Digital Extreme Technologies. If you or your business need a custom website, well, for dynamic, professional, and most of all, affordable custom website solutions, visit Digital Extreme Technologies, and you can do that by going to digitalextremetech.com or give them a call at 267-205-4203. Listen, you got to stop operating your business with those Wix sites, please. And I say that because if you're going to be a professional business person, get your domain name, get your custom site. Stop telling people to your Facebook page. Facebook don't care about you.
If you use a Wix site, I think that you accept $5 for 12.
Listen, my thing is this: if you have a Wix site, then you probably are a grown man that closes your car door with your hips. That's the kind of dude you are if you have a Wix site. So get you a real site by going to digitalextremetech.com.
If you're a Wix site and you a dude, you don't put the O in front of the K when you respond.
Yo, if you a dude that got a Wix site, You probably let people jump in front of you in the barbershop because you're scared to speak up. Here, all right, let me stop. Bottom line is this, man. Go to digitalextremetech.com. Go to call 267-205-4203. Listen, man, it's time for us to give some birthday shout-outs real quick. Your man Ryan Lochte is turning 33. Weirdo. Chris Jenkins, 38. Tom Brady, the cheater, turning 40. Trevor Price turning 42. Doug Overton turning 48. Yo, Doug Overton's 48. How about this one? Nate McMillan turning 53. And
you're old, man.
The legend Lance Allworth turning 77. We like to give those guys a big War Room salute on their birthday. Yay! All right, so we got to talk about some hot topics, right? But before we jump into those hot topics, everybody check out our website at warroomsports.com. If you want to call in and speak with us about any of these topics, you can dial the Digital Extreme Technologies hotline at 323-410-0012. If you're already listening, just press 1. It'll raise your hand and we can bring you on, to talk about any of these topics that we're talking about. The hot topics that we're about to jump into are brought to you by Audible. If your schedule is too hectic to read as much as you want, or possibly you just can't read. If you can't read, audiobooks are also do wonders for you. Shout out to Audible for supporting us. Go to audibletrial.com and you can actually get yourself a free audiobook. Salute to Audible for their support, man. There's tons of great audiobooks out there. I actually just finished a book today as a matter of fact. Phil Knight, the biography of Phil Knight, the founder of Nike, which was pretty good. Although I found it kind of weird because when we think of Nike, we think of the impact of Jordan. And Jordan was literally no different. He actually gave other athletes more credit than Jordan, which was interesting. I got my own thoughts on that, but I'm gonna save that for off the air because it is what it is.
Jordan
anyway,
got his own brand. He don't think about it as a part of Nike. Probably.
No, man. He mentioned them, but we'll talk about this off air. All I want to say is audibletrial.com. Get your free audiobook if you want an audiobook, or if you can't read but you still want to stay involved in what's going on in the literary world. Audibletrial.com. Listen, man. First thing I want to bring up in this hot topics is get your opinion on this. You are the educated brother from the bank. You've worked in mergers and acquisitions, and you closed billions and billions of dollars of deals. What did you think about Apple's recent call this week? Because Apple has a cash balance, and this is our stat of the week. We always give a stat of the week, but this is more business related, but it's also sports related, and here's why. Apple right now is sitting on a cash balance of $261.5 billion. Now, that is enough money to buy every franchise in all 4 major American sports. B.
Yo.
What do you got to say about that?
They got that. They got more than a bag. They have the vault. They walk around with the vault. It just shows you the value of technology and what technology and the internet really mean to us today in society, because the only other industry that I can think of where a company would be able to amass that type of cash would be energy, oil and gas.
Yeah.
So now what you're saying is that the exchange of information and the hardware that supports that exchange is as valuable as the natural resources we use to travel. That's what you're saying. The exchange of information is as important as actual oil and gas resources.
That's interesting. It's interesting you put it that way, right? And here's why I say that. Because a lot of people consider information now to be a natural resource, right?
Yeah.
Which is crazy, but that's kind of the world we live in, where information is that powerful, man. But I just thought that was a very interesting stat. They can literally buy all. I mean, that's crazy. That's really crazy to see what the company has grown.
Now, the question that I have, if Apple is worth that, what's Sergey and them sitting on? What's Google sitting on? What's Amazon?
I don't think it's not as much. Now, the thing about it is, Jeff Bezos is the richest man in the world at this point, which is also interesting because you still have people who are afraid to shop online, and the founder of Amazon is But anyway, they don't have as much cash as Apple. Apple is literally the biggest company in America at this point. So,
Right.
you know, God bless Steve Jobs, man, for his innovation and some of the, they don't even innovate anymore. But that's either here nor there. I'm not going to get into a tech argument on the show, but the bottom line is I just thought that was interesting considering, you know, the value of franchises in our four major sports and how they've ballooned, that you still have a company out there. And by the way, people, this is why you should study what's going on in business outside of sports, because that's what's going on in the world. But moving back on to sports, though, before I bring up your play cousin Bubba Chuck, there was a story that broke today in the world of soccer. Anyone who listens to the show, watches any of our videos, goes to our app and knows anything about me knows that I know nothing at all about soccer. But when you brought the story to me, I had to go look some of this information up. Now, what's the young man's name getting this crazy bag?
Neymar Jr.,
all right,
a.k.a. Neymar, a.k.a. Neymar de Silva, a.k.a. number 11.
All right, let me
Yes,
paint a picture for the people listening either live or on the podcast. So B. Austin hits me and tells me about Neymar. And I'm like, well, I don't know Neymar. You know what I mean? Like, you know, I know Ronaldo, I know Messi, I don't know Neymar. I'm like, who's Neymar? And Dev was like, you don't know Neymar? I said, I know Tamar. You know what I mean? Tamar Braxton. That's probably the only, you know, but I don't know Neymar. So I do a little bit of research. I started, like, you know, Googling, going to his Wikipedia page, looking up the social media. This dude is like one of the Beatles. And it's crazy because that shows how ignorant I am to the world of soccer, because it seems like I'm the last person to catch on to what's going on. And he's getting ready to get one of the biggest bags in the history of sports. And
the biggest bag.
Okay, well, the biggest
bag
in the history of all of sports. Now, we joke a lot about people and the bags they get and all that. But, Bree, I want you to break down for our listeners how crazy this contract is. Because a lot of times they say, you know, these athletes are overpaid. They talk about the NBA players all the time about, you know, their guaranteed contracts and their money. Explain to the people just how big this bag is, because I want you to put it into its proper context.
All right. So I'm going to give it some context, y'all, so get ready, because this when we start talking these dollars and cents, I get a little excited, you know, being the banker that I used to be. So as Jimmy mentioned, if I could, I would say your top soccer players in the world would be, your top five, arguably, this is arguable, would be Messi number one, Ronaldo number two, and that's always an argument because the world is divided straight down the line between people that say Ronaldo's number one and people that say Messi's number one. But from a money standpoint, Messi makes about $500,000 US after taxes, before taxes. Ronaldo makes about $450,000 a week. So that's their salary. Two biggest players in the world. No argument there. There's no argument that these are the two biggest players in soccer. Messi at $500,000, little over $500,000. Ronaldo at about $450,000. Next up is where the arguments begin, because there are people that I'm sure will not agree with my top five list, but you've got Neymar Jr., you've got Paul Pogba, you've got Zlatan Ibrahimovic, and then you've got an honorable mention will go out there to Antoine Griezmann and Tevez. These are a couple guys that are big in the soccer world, right? All right, so you get a picture of what the top two players in the world make. Now we'll talk about transfers, because in transfers, speaking of $40 million slaves, in soccer, when you pay a transfer fee, it does not go to the player. It goes from team to team.
Well,
so if I want to
explain what a transfer fee is in soccer, because I don't even know what a transfer fee is.
Sure.
Who is it paid by? Who is it paid to? And what's the point?
So it's paid by the team that wants the player to the team that currently employs the player. So it's kind of a buyout clause, basically. So, you know, if you want to leave War Room Sports and go to ESPN to one of their shows, then the buyout clause or the transfer fee would be $1 billion, right? So if any one of us are going to ESPN, it's $1 billion. That doesn't go into our pocket. That just goes to War Room Sports. All right.
Gotcha.
So now the player so the transfer fee, the former world record transfer fee is 89, call it 90 million pounds, about $120 million, and that was just paid at the end of last year by Manchester United to Juventus for one Paul Pogba, who's a 24-year-old French national of African descent. That was the biggest transfer ever paid. That was huge. That was huge money. Neymar Jr., in his Barcelona contract, has a buyout clause, which essentially becomes his transfer fee, of $253 million, or 198 million pounds, for those Brits that we have listening. That would become the world record transfer fee by far, which means these guys have to pay $250 million just for the right to sign Neymar. That's before you get to his salary. So you're spending $250 million in transfer money. That's what has to be paid for Neymar. Neymar, the team that is inquiring about his services and who are prepared to sign him are in Ligue 1. They're a Parisian team called Paris Saint-Germain, and they're owned by the Qatari royal family and the Qatari Sovereign Wealth Fund. They're super wealthy in their own right. They have $379 billion under management. So they're talking about paying this quarter $250 million in transfer fee. And here's where it gets real funny and it gets real entertaining. The salary that they are willing to pay Neymar before taxes is $1.1 million per week. After taxes, that's about $681 million a week. $681,000 per week. But they're paying this guy $1.1 million a week to kick a soccer ball. As if that's not bad enough, listen to the rest of the compensation package. He gets $50 million signing bonus up front. His father, who is his agent, because of some contract language in his Barcelona contract, because he was on Barcelona's roster through July 31st, his father gets a loyalty £1 million, and then his father will get an additional bonus as his agent for signing with Paris Saint-Germain. So at the end of the day, his dad stands to make $50 million in addition to his $50 million signing bonus and his $1.1 million a week salary. And then he's agreed to a revenue share in a Qatari hotel chain and airline, which is worth an undisclosed amount, but he's going to get a revenue share in a subsidiary company that owns the team he will be playing for. And he gets his own jet. So why is all of this funny? So we added everything up, and it's worth his 5-year compensation to him, just to Neymar, is worth about $438 million in total. When you add the transfer fee in, yeah, go ahead.
So he's getting $50 million up front. His pop's getting $50 million up front. Uh-huh. He's getting $1 million a week. Mm-hmm. Yo, first of all, we sound real chatty patty counting this man's money, but at the same time, what is he supposed to like? So what kind of pressure? What is he supposed to produce for this kind of money?
Yo, I don't know. He is, as you've looked him up, he is the heir apparent to the Brazilian. The Brazilians have a tremendous history in world soccer. They produced from 1995 to 2007. They produced all of the world's number one soccer players, the Ballon d'Or winners. So they lost that crown for a little while, but Neymar is supposed to be the guy that regains that. And so Neymar's career has been strategically planned out. It's been strategically planned for him. and hilarious to see. He's already at arguably one of the top clubs in the world in Barcelona, but he plays with Lionel Messi, who is arguably the best player in the world. His thing is he wants to go and create his own legacy, and a part of the Brazilian legacy is you have to win the Ballon d'Or. He will never win that playing on the same team as Messi. So he has to leave. So he's picked PSG or Paris Saint-Germain as his landing spot because he realizes that gives him an opportunity to be recognized as the number one player in the world.
Well,
but when you're making $1 million a week,
it's safe to say that if Kyrie Irving left to do the same thing, he's not going to get a bag like this.
He's not going to get $1 million a week. No, sir.
All right, before we finish,
the other crazy thing about these numbers.
Hold your next thought.
Count this man's money.
Before we finish playing Chatty Patty, we got a phone call on line. We got the homie Naj calling in. Let's see what Naj wants to speak about. Naj, what's up, good brother?
Sir. Hey, ain't nothing, man. Good information on Neymar, man. That is amazing. And it also shows, because I was like you, I had to look into who dude was.
Yeah,
but it goes into what global markets mean. Like, we're not talking about national markets, and that's a whole different story.
Yes,
and that's
sir.
why the NBA is kind of making this fight to kind of go for the soul of China and India. Those are the nations with the highest growth, biggest populations. And if you can expand your sport there, man, you look at America as a secondary market. So, I mean, that's what the chase is all about.
Naj, it's funny you mentioned China, because speaking of world markets and China in specificity, when Neymar's deal was announced and it was announced that he's going to go to PSG, guess where he was?
In China. Wow.
In Beijing, handling those fans over there that love the game and love him. Beijing.
Yeah, man.
Yep.
Yeah, man. And this also kind of brings into perspective the NFL. Some of the things we say about the NFL, and then we realize, damn, we only talking about our little local, raggedy organization. This is not global phenomenon. This is not a global phenomenon. But you guys hit on the Apple point. I think there's some real sticking points to hit on that. The reason Steve Ballmer is the owner of the Clippers and not involved where he used to work, he decided to buy Nokia, and he said the iPhone would never work because it's too expensive. There's no way they'd be able to price that out to get it to where it would be the thing that it is now. Well, Apple figured that out by working with the phone company. Steve Ballmer is no longer involved in day-to-day over there at Microsoft because he made the bad bet. They bought Nokia, and it turned into, just being a trash buy.
Yeah, their product was terrible. But before you move on to your next point, you know what's interesting about that? When you look at Steve Ballmer's career, anyone who talks about him talks about how terrible he was at his job. But that shows you the power of having good friends, and also the power of being in the right place at the right time. Because he was one of the early
shows you
employees.
Shows you the power of privilege. And,
that's a whole other way to look at it. But listen, though, because of his friendship with with Bill Gates, and because he was in the right place at the right time, I think they were like college roommates or something. He was in early in Microsoft and got those shares and became a wealthy man. But when you talk to people that work with him, they said he was never good at his job. So this only in America can you be terrible at your job and still be worth billions.
Yeah. And the interesting thing about these wars right now is it's a winner-take-all game. So whatever, disruptive technology you come up with that kind of takes away market share from other industries, whoever leads that charge, man, you're talking about a huge windfall. So that's what we're seeing with Apple and all of these guys. And Apple is the little brother. Don't forget Google and Amazon are still on a race to $1 trillion. Who gets there first, who knows? But Apple also, behind every great fortune. We can tell that story. Some of their practices at some of the factories. But hold on, man. Hold on. One second. Some of their practices, some of their factories, and then the outsourcing of some of their facilities in order to be a tax haven. You look at the one in Ireland, man, they're damn near not building anything, but they're stacking up money and using it as a way to hide money they don't want to pay here to taxpayers. So they got some interesting things going on to get that bag they've accumulated.
No, I was going to ask you. You said that Amazon and Google are ahead of them in terms of like the value of the company.
Yeah, they're on a race to $1 trillion. Like Facebook and Apple are the little brothers, and even by saying little brothers, that's ridiculous because these are huge, giant conglomerates. But Amazon and Google are playing a whole different game of world domination. You might as well say they bought Amazon bought Whole Foods with pocket change. You know what I mean? Like they're a whole different level, man.
Yeah, because the reason I asked that is because I remember when they had their call the other day. Actually, they said that Amazon was the most valuable company in the world at this point. They're past Google and Amazon. So that's why I was asking that because that's in terms of market cap.
As of right now, but I mean you can never count Google out because you don't know.
Absolutely.
What markets they're going to be able to dominate.
They own the information, so that's always going to have a certain value. And even Amazon.
Jim. Yeah. My last Neymar point to bring that home, just a little aside, it's funny. At the end of 5 years, PSG and the Qatari Sports Group will end up paying close to $765 million for Neymar.
Whew.
Close to $1 billion.
And even when they win, they lose. Because if he actually goes there and it's a disappointment, what does that mean? Extra attention, extra stories. Now the storyline is the failed son. He didn't make it happen. But if he does succeed, then you got this great, glorious Brazilian story. So either way, they win. You know what I mean? They bought essentially this property, and there's no L's in this.
I have to ask, and now I'm really thinking about this. How much money can his brand generate PSG and the Qatar royal family if he is successful? If they're willing to pay $765 million for one player, they have to expect that he translates to about $7 billion in market value over 5 years. That's what they have to believe in order to make that, that sort of expenditure. The other thing that's unique about this deal is Neymar is 24. Well, he's 25. He just turned 20. May not be the last deal that he signs, because when this is done, he'll be 30, and he could make the argument that I can play at a high level till 34, 35. It's been done before. Ronaldo is 32, and he's not slowing down. So his case is, well, Ronaldo didn't slow down. We played the same position. We played in the same league. He could sign another one of these in 5 years, which would be nuts.
You know what's interesting? A couple things real quick about what you just said is that I'm not really a soccer guy at all, like I mentioned coming into the story. But because of like the exorbitant amount of money that they're giving him and the way the story broke, I want to see him play. And I'm not even a soccer guy. You know what I'm saying? So I'm pretty sure that other people like me that saw the story and said, hold on, let me see what this guy's about. I got to tune in and see, like,
Now, listen, Nas, they got a new PSG fan. Jimmy don't even know what PSG stands for.
I have no idea. But I definitely want to, like, tune in and see that. And the funny thing is, in doing my research about him and his story, I see that he's already, in terms of endorsements, like one of the top guys in that sport. So, he's like basically creating, a huge amount of money.
He's super sellable. He's a little more urban and edgy in his imaging than Ronaldo and Messi, who are more classic, straight line. This guy has more appeal to my son, who is 9. So they're setting themselves up to pull in an entire generation of soccer fans, because everybody that's under 25 is in some way, shape, fashion, or form a Neymar fan.
Got you. And Naj, getting back to your point about Apple and that whole deal there, who do you think wins this race? Because you already said that it's a race between Amazon, Google. You have Apple, Facebook. They always say the internet's run by 5 companies. They say Apple, Google, Facebook, and I forgot who's the other one. Whoever it is, but who do you think will win this race at the end of the day?
Oh, I'm sorry, man. I got caught up on another call. Am I still on? Or
yeah, no, you're still here. I was asking you, like, in terms of that Apple story.
Still on.
Who do you think will win this race? They always talk about the internet being at this point 5 companies, which are like Apple, Google, Facebook, Amazon, and I forgot who the fifth company is, but they always talk about 5. Maybe Microsoft, that's what it is. In terms of the tech industry, it's those 5 companies. If you had to, like, right now as a prognosticator, who do you think wins this race? So if we're in demolition, man, who's the last one standing?
I think it's Amazon, because Amazon has the ability to take from other markets more than these other ones can. They can specialize in their specific thing, but Amazon comes in and says, okay, you used to buy toilet paper over there, now you don't. You used to go to that grocery store over there, now you don't. We got a distribution center in your city, we'll be taking market share from them. And then when you start adding in Alexa and you're talking about Alexa updating people, hey, man, you got 2 beers left. You want me to order more? And you're just kind of living this life to where all of the consumption that you used to have to go and do, you've kind of pushed into this one, little pathway. That's a whole lot of squeezing that they could do. And then you talk about his, what's it called? I think it's called Blue Origin, his rocket company that he's trying to figure out a way to get up and mine, asteroids and things of that nature. So you're talking about figuring out the next tech for the space race as well. So I think Amazon is well suited to be the first to $1 trillion, man.
Yeah, and that's interesting.
So
because,
Amazon is the devil, basically, is what you're saying. Sorry, I got you.
It's Skynet, essentially, man. Yeah, because I don't know, man. Because okay, they bought Whole Foods. Are they even going to keep it or just turn that into distribution centers in suburban areas where they know people have money and they could easily use that drone, that drone technology to deliver things quickly and start cutting into shipping?
Yeah,
because that's another market to cut into. So I mean, there's so much they can do, man.
One of the fastest growing markets is that home home meal delivery service, like the Blue Aprons, the Hello Freshes, all those kind of services.
Yeah, that's what they're going to do at Whole Foods. That's what they're going to do at Whole Foods.
Yeah, that's one of the fastest growing markets. Amazon actually already is testing their service. So, and it's funny
when they copped Whole Foods, Blue Apron stock went down 14%.
Yeah, so
they know.
So
that's because you can't do it for the price point that they can, and if they can be more efficient than you as well, I mean, what can you do? And then you add convenience of I'm already an Amazon Prime user. I can just get on my phone, put the new app in, and I can get all of this stuff done that I want to do through this app.
They can afford to lose money and by a war of attrition, shut the competition down, and then raise prices back up to catch it again. That's what.
And what's interesting about Amazon though is the way he built this behemoth, because the companies never had profits. He just kept, investing into the business and building and growing and grabbing market share and never having profit. They still haven't had profits yet. So it's just an amazing story.
Well, if I could jump in real quick, that's another part of this thing I was talking about, where it's, we kind of having these wars to where it's like, look, winner takes all. It is what it is, and we're willing to shell out as much as we can to win this. So Uber and Netflix, 2 companies who we see as huge, neither one has made any money yet. Like, they've been losing hundreds of millions of dollars just in activating their process. But if they win those market shares, then, it turns into just a stupid money overnight if they win them.
Cut the faucet on. And now
right.
And one of the interesting things about that is because essentially now business is becoming a sport. We talk about sports, but with this competition is Apple has so much cash in reserves that Netflix and even Uber were 2 of the companies they were talking about just purchasing, because they have literally nothing to do with all this cash.
Yeah. Because, Lord knows they don't want to just pay it in taxes, right? They got to figure out a way to acquire something.
Don't worry. Don't worry. War Room Sports is not for sale. They can't buy it.
Right. But just to hit on one point I think is important, though. When we got all these people in Silicon Valley and people going to school for engineering, but they're not taking anything in the humanities and not thinking anything about philosophy or anything like that, you can become cold to the point of where you're just creating disruptive technology with no outlook on how it's going to affect either the employment of people in America or how many jobs you're going to destroy by creating yours.
Wow.
And I think that's really important.
That was going to be my
next
point.
Great point.
Yeah. None of this stuff is for the benefit of humanity. None of it. None of it benefits humanity in terms of creativity, in terms of character, in terms of it's all just business for business's sake.
Yeah, ask a cab driver about Uber. He might punch you in the face. But look, man, I'm gonna hang back and listen to y'all because I'm still at work. But
got you, man.
Man, good show, man. Y'all getting into some heavy stuff, and give Ray everything he deserves. I wish I could have talked about old Raggedy Ray, but give him everything he deserves on the show, man.
Uncle Rakus. Uncle Rakus.
Yeah, thanks for the call. Thanks for the call, Nas. Take it easy.
But yo.
Yeah, man. Those are great points, man. B. Austin. Those numbers you talked about in terms of his contract are just utterly ridiculous. Utterly ridiculous, man. But and I know you're a soccer guy, which is why you were able to break that down, man. But it's something else, right? Let's talk about your play cousin real quick. Let's talk about Bubba Chuck, who got suspended. My man getting suspended in the whole. Is he the first player in the history? See, now maybe the ABA counts too. I was about to say, who's the first player to get suspended in two different leagues, like two different professional leagues in America? There's probably somebody from the ABA. But my man getting suspended in the Big Three for his no-show in Dallas. What were your thoughts? I forget, we already know Bubba Chuck's Bubba Chuck. What were your thoughts when you first heard this story? You had to laugh, right?
Nah, I didn't laugh because even though I'm not actively – because I root for dude so hard. Like, I want him to grow. I want him to prove everyone wrong, and I want to see him win for the hood, do it for the culture. You know what I'm saying? And at some point, I'm hopeful that he's growing. And furthermore, to look even further than that, here is a league that's owned by O'Shea Jackson.
Yeah. Like,
the league is owned by Ice Cube. It's owned by NWA. It's owned by a person that comes from where AI comes from. So I'm hopeful that, there was a different approach taken to the way he handles business.
Let me ask you a question, because I'm a little conspiracy theorist, right? So I know that when the league first was announced,
a little conspiracy.
All right, so what? I'm a conspiracy theorist. Let me ask you a question, though. All right, so the league was first announced, right? And I had a little bit of hype. We even talked about it for a couple weeks because we watched the games. I saw it die down a little bit, and then this story, and then so do you think you think it's possible that this was part of a plan?
No, I don't think that it's died down. I think it's settled a little bit. Like, it's not, obviously it's not
new anymore.
The hype isn't where it was when it first. Where it's not new, but I think there's a genuine interest and a core fan base that will continue to grow. I think that this thing is really sustainable, and as long as they don't try and make it something it isn't, they don't try and pit it up against the NBA. As long as they keep it in its own lane, I think that the Big Three has an opportunity to grow exponentially to levels that Ice Cube didn't even dream of, because now there's even talk of guys joining that would raise the quality of play. And it's not like the quality has been low. There's only been like one Paul McPherson out there. You know what I'm saying? There's the level of play has been high, but there's talk of Kobe playing. There's talk of Shaq playing. There's talk of real big all-time greats. Like, now AI really is the only all-time great that plays this thing. It's got some great talent, but you get Kobe to play, and you get guys. T-Mac once says he wants to play. You get guys like that to play, and you're talking about a whole nother level. And
no,
so
my point. But my point wasn't that it's going to go anywhere. My point was, do you think that the AI story was like one that was set up, or do you think that Bubba Chuck really was like FOH?
No, I don't think Bubba Chuck subscribes to stuff like that.
Gotcha.
I don't even think that's the way he get down. So I think he legitimately was like, "Yo, I'm up $100 grand. I'm in the casino. I got dinner at Fridays after this. Yo, I'm not going to Dallas, man."
All right, listen though. Shout out to John who's listening. He commented on Facebook. Talk about your man. Said that he making more money as a player than the Corleone family did. You know, the little Godfather reference. Yeah, I mean, my man is essentially, you know, making more money than a lot of legit businesses are. Some of the businesses that we assume to be, hello, he got more profit than Amazon. But you know what I mean? So, you know, it's a shout out to Neymar, man. Like, that story is amazing that he's able to generate that playing the game of amusement. But, you know, this is the world we live in. So let's see.
These games of amusement.
You talk about these companies. Let's see what good he does with those bags right there. You know what I mean? You know, let me ask you this question, though. Let's talk a little bit basketball. KD, LeBron. Kevin Durant, you know, a YouTuber told him that LeBron is better. And KD just responded very short, succinct, said, no. Basically saying he's better than LeBron. But, you know, in those words, no. You know what I mean? What do you think about this, KD or LeBron?
Who do I think is better? Me?
Yeah. I mean, KD's supposed to say he's better. Like, I wouldn't. I mean,
LeBron,
he's supposed to say that.
LeBron.
Okay, because some people,
LeBron.
Because it came to a little argument. I think people actually say, no, KD is better. You know, people just, you know, after this past finals, just jumped on that.
He can't possibly be better.
Listen, I'm gonna give you a specific name who will argue you down. This shout to DJ Willie G. Anyway, you know, so I mean, he would argue this.
He doesn't count. He don't
argue this. I always find it funny when they try to make it a controversy for a player.
Let me tell you something. Yo, DJ Willie G would argue that there are 3 players on Golden State roster that's better than LeBron.
Yeah, these are facts. He hates LeBron, so you got a point with that.
He doesn't have LeBron in the top 5.
I peep this stuff, right? Because I always find it interesting when players, you know, have confidence and people like think it's crazy. Because another player came up, the Greek Freak, said, "Listen," he said, "I might be the MVP of the league this year," and people were kind of like, "What?" And I'm like, "What's he supposed to say?" I thought it was amazing that he had that kind of confidence coming into the season. We know he's one of the best young talents. You think he has a shot at the MVP this year?
I don't think that that's true, but I do believe that within the next 4 years that will be legit.
You don't think he has an outside shot at compete for this year?
No, because he's going to play on a team where he's got a little bit more support than he's ever had before, and he's going to have to figure out how to produce without taking away from the talent that he has, without making it he's going to have to find that balance that the Warriors have. In other words, they've got talent that could do it solo, but they found the balance of how to work together. It's going to take him, being a young player, it's going to take him a season, if not 2, to figure out how to work with those guys. So that's I don't think it'll happen for him this year, but it will happen soon. It will happen soon. Him, Anthony Davis, and Boogie, that's the next generation. They're going to run the league.
Okay. We shall see, man. Listen, we got to get out of here, man. The one last thing I want to say is LeVar Ball still out there, LeVar balling. He's still playing the hill. But we'll talk about that at a later time, man.
He's a misogynist.
It's time to get out of here. Thank you, good folks, for joining us for another episode in the War Room. Shout out to everybody in the chat room, for those on Facebook, Twitter, and our Game Time app, and all the calls who called in to holler at us. We definitely appreciate the support. Tune in next week live right here or on demand on the WRS Podcast Network for more great sports talk. We'll recap another week in the sports world and report on the progress of the NFL training camps as well as Colin Kaepernick. So until then, enjoy your weekend, enjoy your week, and we'll see you right back here next time. Catch all of our conversations on Facebook, Twitter, as well as our blogs, webcasts, network podcasts. Everything can be found at warroomsports.com. Also pick up my book at sportstobook.com or right at warroomsports.com. Until next time, everybody, don't accept mediocrity. Be steadfast in the war against ignorance, and we shall see you chumps on top.
Beat Austin, Bay on replay. WarRoomSports.com. Get that mobile app. If not, dial 323-140012. They be going and you sensitive, then oh well. Physical podcast, let's talk sports. Showtime like Magic and the block push. Listen live, push one to join in. Rip your team or listen for your enjoyment. Hip hop dollars, pit stop and knowledge. Should be in sports credits, I ain't talking college. 5 guys, no beef though. Portrait, secret, but the streets know. Belafonte, I got a G flow. KC, royalty, I'm in beast mode. 2 hours, get your game up. Who's the best in sportscast? You better name us. War Room Sports. Yeah, you know, Jimmy, Dev, TJ, Scott Beck, Lee Austin. I'm Jock. Up and coming on the beat.
War Room Sports, www.warroomsports.com. What? Ain't no more to it.